So we're just about ready to introduce a new feature or element to the reciprocity platform. And to me, it just keeps getting better. When I am using it, it's becoming increasingly more part of my day. And this one feature um, is really transformative, at least from my perspective. One of the challenges that we have is keeping on top of the literature in our respective areas. And I probably have told you this before if you're listening. I have this sort of abstract task that's on there that you choose between different abstracts that are within, you sort of pick which one that you actually like between the two. And it's a really fun game and you sort of earn points and all that kind of stuff. And these abstracts are pulled from the scientific corpus of 100 million different abstracts, and we've had this on the platform, that sort of feature on the platform, since November, and it's been really fun. I've integrated it within my class and all of my classes, and it's been really fun to watch the students do well with it. People that have actually taken it seriously have actually built and done remarkable things that I could never imagine, like totally blown away um, in terms of what they have done. But there's been this kind of like missing element. So give you an example. A person has built a model of the brain, a 3D model of the brain, and they're an undergraduate student. They showed me it and I was blown away. Another person built a subletting app that's online, it's functional. These are undergraduate business students. I have never had that in my entire life as teaching for so many years now. So it's like mind blowing for me to see. And it's not just like the forced task of doing these things, but it's actually I think it's motivational, right? Like you actually see this, um, and it's mind blowing. But so I digress. The feature that we are introducing is to gather. So what we're gonna do. So right now, what's happening is that when you pull these abstracts, it's fairly at random from the scientific corpus. And so there's a lot of things that just don't feel right in terms of, I can see there's lots of science from around the world that I call it junk science. It's not, it's um not that relevant in it could be like a blog post, for example, which is fine. I love those things, but sometimes it doesn't go into that much depth and there's not that much insight on it. So what this is a new filter with machine learning built into the background, sort of classic machine reinforcement learning. Um, so what it does is in a very short period of time, it learns what your preferences are, um, combined with you could explicitly put in, I want. So for me, I was putting in I want learning. And I punch in I want learning and I want articles from science, right? So there's this famous journal called Science, and it pulled up all the ones that were like extraordinarily relevant, very, very relevant. And so I was playing and learning from this platform, but it was like so relevant that it was like literally the people that I knew. It was like friends and colleagues that I know that have actually published in that, or the first ones that popped up. But and so I was like blown away. The very first article. So the very first article that I had tried with this new feature was my advisor. Um, that had this really great recent paper. And then the second one was the sort of lead person in the field once I wanted to look at Science, the journal. I was like, oh my, like this is wild to have this happen, that it's so accurate. So, you know, what what is it useful for, right? So now it's you can generate playing a game, the articles that you actually find interesting in the scientific corpus very, very quickly. Um, but also that it starts to reinforce what you're doing in terms of you discovering new things. So I discovered like several new articles last night that was like, oh, I should, read this in a little bit more in depth, or this was like working on something very similar to an area that I'm currently interested in. Um, so it's beyond the capability, and it's not just like AI as you think, like Gen AI. Gen AI kind of generates a lot of crap. Um, this is actually the real scientific articles that is generating for you, um, in a way that's fun, right? Like in a way that is unintimidating and a way that allows you to jump into learning about things in a hurry. Um, so, it will eventually learn exactly what your preferences are by starting wide. This is kind of like a sort of search algorithm that's very typical. You start wide and then narrow in. But at the same time, for us, so for me as somebody that's been in the field, it's super cool because I now can stay on top of the literature in a fast and meaningful way. And what I'm gonna do, we're gonna make it a little bit more interactive, make it a little bit more fun. But what I also would like to do is overlay um, a learning layer. Hopefully, I'm hoping to put a learning layer on there so that for these tests of you need to know the literature in a certain area. We're going to have that on there, right? So there's a lot of this, particularly if you're a new scientist and you need to get up to speed, a new researcher and you need to get up to speed. How do you get up to speed? The Gen AI stuff kind of generates crap and it doesn't. If you know what you're doing, it's is excellent. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's just intimidating and frustrating, and generates a lot of crap. So what this does, and I kudos on Gen A, like OpenAI and all of them, like that they're doing some amazing stuff. I'm not discounting that, and it'll be very. It's fantastic. I'm very extraordinarily enthusiastic about it. Let's just say that. But there is, it's well known that it generates a bunch of crap. Um, but this allows you to function and generate and to study the literature so that you can be better than what you actually are, and much better than the sort of um, the AI alternatives that are out there. So I'm extraordinarily enthusiastic. It's fun. Um, and I've been like just really, really using it's like so frustrating because it feels like this game and it sort of feels like I'm getting pulled away from my work because it is so addictive, and so fun, but I'm actually doing my work, right? Like I'm actually learning the literature of the stuff that I wouldn't normally do because the it gets very challenging as you get older to stay on top of the literature. This allows me to do this at tiny little intervals. Um, you probably have it also allows you to do this at your own free time if you're walking or whatnot. Is a little challenging with when you're walking, but it's possible, right? Like it's totally possible to do this. And so it's getting around this problem. Our life is becoming more fragmented, or at least it's a feeling of it. And how do we ensure that we keep on top of things as we go into different directions? I think is one more layer, one more amazing thing that just makes it so much more promising. And I think it's going to change the world. I really honestly think it's going to change the research world. And for those people that are actually using it, are truly seeing the benefit of it. and this is not hyperbole. This is one man who has really struggled at keeping on top of things for 20 years, and fundamentally changing my own life and hopefully changing everybody else's life at the same time. It's exciting. Um, can't wait to show you. Take care.